You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of our Be Strong, Be Positive podcast right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, pleasure to be your host as always. Delighted to finally be joined by Charly Stakim. Charly, we've been trying to get this done for ages. How are you? You good?
I'm good, yeah, delighted to be on, Scott. Thank you so much for asking me.
No worries. How's everything been? I know you're slightly busier than me. I know we're both very busy people, but how's things been?
Things have been good, yeah. I think just adapting to life in lockdown and, trying to move everything online as much as you can with all the different businesses. It's been a bit crazy, but yeah, I suppose we're all in it together. So it's been good to kind of, talk to other people about what they're doing and just pivot as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely. We'll also talk a wee bit as well. We've got a few wee subjects I want to touch on, but obviously, what's kind of lockdown been like for you, like personally? How hard's it been to kind of adjust to this new situation we're all in?
It's been pretty up and down. I think with the first lockdown, I kind of attacked it quite head on. Like I was like, right, there's big changes happening. Let's just see the positive in this and move forward and help as many people as we can. But obviously we're now on like what is it, lockdown 50 now? There's been so many. So I think it definitely has been up and down, and I'd be wrong saying, I've been positive the entire time. That's absolutely not the case. But I feel like it's had its ebbs and flows, just like everybody's had.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a strange time, but we'll make a wee start. Obviously, just talk a wee bit about what you're kind of doing just now as well. Like how you're very, very busy. So just talk about a wee bit what you're doing with yourself.
What I'm doing. So I've got multiple businesses and I'm a mum to a toddler. So lockdown for me has mostly consisted of spending a lot more time with her, which has been amazing. Nurseries are off at the moment, so I've got her a lot more than I normally would. So it's nice to come up with creative things, but also quite challenging because everywhere's closed. We've got this free time but nothing to do. So it's just been a lot about coming up with creative avenues of things to do with her, and also trying to incorporate her into my working life as much as I can. I think mum guilt's such a thing when you're like, listen, I need to do an hour's work, or I need to run this live workout or whatever it is. So just trying to like bring her into that as much as I can. Like I'll do a workout with Zia or whatever it is. It's pretty much what I've been doing. So I've got my Arbonne business and network marketing, which I love. So that's just coaching and training people, online to run their own businesses, which obviously has been great right now because a lot of people, are struggling to, find work or extra income and are more open to looking at things like a side hustle. So it's been great to, help those willing to do that, create those online businesses. So, but I do love like belly to belly business. Like I like being in front of people.
Yeah.
So to go from, meeting people for coffees all the time, running in-person events, to moving that all to Facebook, WhatsApp, Zoom, it's been a big change. And then obviously trained by Charly. So my mission with that is, to empower people to fall in love with their bodies through fitness, and use exercise as a way of, feeling good about themselves rather than like punishing themselves for whatever it is they think they're punishing themselves for, hating their body, like eating badly, whatever that means, or whatever it is. So I've been making that shift, which has been good. And it's just about trying to motivate people to exercise in their living rooms. Obviously the gyms are all closed, so we're trying to get people to get outside, even though it's freezing out there and it's hard to run because of the ice. Just finding all these different alternatives. And then body confidence artist is a new thing that I've started, which is my painting business. That's just empowering people to fall in love with their bodies, but this is through art rather than fitness. So that's what I've been up to. That's been the latest. And baking banana bread and all the other lockdowny things. What about you?
Just media, just doing this as much as possible. We started baking today. Me and Laura started baking. We started baking tablet, but it didn't go brilliant. But that's as well. It's kind of spending as much time as you can with your people close to you as well. Obviously, kind of after Christmas, it was off work. So basically, doing this as much as possible, and spending as much time as I can with the people close to me. But we'll get into kind of early years as well. Like, how did you feel you got on at school? Like, did you feel you had a good time at school? Like, socially, more than anything?
At school, wow. So I was actually talking to someone about this the other day. I think surface level, it maybe looked like I really did. And there was obviously parts of my school life I loved, but as a whole, like I don't really look back too fondly at my school years.
Yeah.
I found it quite difficult to not fit. I don't want to say fit in, but I always had like big visions, a bit different thinking. But at school, it's not very cool to do that. It's not
Yeah.
very cool to, think outside the box. So yeah, I struggled a lot with that and with like keeping really good, loyal friendships throughout. But obviously, like I have so many fond memories of like, really inspiring teachers that I worked with and things like that. But I think, even mental health wise, it was probably quite a tough time in my life, I'd say. I'd say it's more when I left school that I started to really like see the world as
Yeah.
a bigger space.
Mhm.
But you're so in your little bubble at school, I think. Like you
Yeah,
think like the world
definitely.
ends and starts with the people that you're around.
Yeah. See, did you have a plan when you were leaving school of what you were going to do with your life?
Oh, I had no idea. I had no idea. I had my
Okay.
fingers in loads of different pies. So I loved drama and acting and performance. But I also loved media. So obviously I worked for the local radio station.
Yeah.
I was a DJ as well. So
Mhm.
when I left school, I just started to, try new things. And I took a year to just kind of work out what it was that I was passionate about.
Mhm.
And
And
yeah, I
see,
didn't think that would be business and fitness.
obviously you mentioned about like drama and acting and things like that. Like, see, when obviously we've known each other for quite a few years, like that's always what I thought you would do. Like, you would get into that. To be honest, was
Yeah.
that like, have you stopped completely doing that, or was that something you would go back to?
Um, Maybe in later years. I think it was I've met so many amazing people, and especially during school, like that was a really good
Mhm.
outlet for me. Like to, I would always go to drama at the weekends in
Yeah.
Glasgow or Paisley, and the people you meet doing that, like they're really outgoing and nice and
Mhm.
friendly, and I think that built up a lot of who I am today. But in terms of as a career, I always just assumed because I enjoyed it, that's what I was going to do, and that's what I was going to go into.
Yeah.
But as I left school and learned more, I think when we're in school, I don't know if you feel the same about this, you put such stories on yourself. Like I'd always told myself, like, I'm rubbish at sport, I'm so bad, people are gonna laugh at me. Like I would hand notes into PE, like I would never take part.
Yeah.
And I just associated myself as somebody that didn't do that. But when I left school and like got out of that place, I was like, oh, like I love the gym. This is somewhere I really enjoy. Like I like teaching people to get healthy. So
Yeah.
when you get rid of those identities of yourself that you held before, I think you can move into other things.
Yeah.
And I started to realize I could elements I loved of performing. Like I love inspiring other people. I love, being loud and sharing my thoughts and doing all that. I could do that in a group fitness class.
Mhm.
I can do that now when I run classes. I'm up the front, I'm instructing, I'm, essentially entertaining in a way, but I'm helping people with their health too. So for me, that was a better route. But
Yeah.
still, it's so funny now because all my friends now have went on to do acting. So I feel in the loop with it, but
Mhm.
I'll just cheer them on.
Brilliant. See for me, and I don't know if this is what that is for you. See, the first time I went into a gym, I've never been as intimidated my entire life. The first time I'm not a big gym goer, and I don't need to, can I say why? I just don't. It's just not my kind of type of place. But the first time I went into a gym, I remember there was a guy in it, and he was just same size, same height as me, but so much like more muscular. And he was just, I was lifting these 6 kilogram things, and he was lifting 20. And I was like struggling to lift the 6, and he was just picking up the 20 as if it was like a phone. And
Yeah.
after that, I was like, this isn't my type of environment. Did you kind of get that feeling as well? Like when you first went into a gym, like it was an intimidating place, and do you think that puts a lot of people off going?
I think 100% it does, yeah. And to be honest, I didn't really before I became a personal trainer. I didn't have a lot of gym experience myself. Like I mostly just did home workouts or followed guides,
Yeah.
and I kind of on my PT course was a big learning experience for me. So I felt more confident to go into a gym after that. But it's such a common thing that I see people with gym anxiety, and it's from experience, from what I'm hearing from other people, it's because they're worried about other people looking at them or judging them,
that's my big thing as well.
or them doing it wrong. But I think it's just about knowing we're all there for the same reason, and it's not necessarily like people in the gym are going to judge you for trying something new. I've had people, there's people in the gym that I've maybe went up to if they're doing it wrong and been like, listen, like, see if you do this instead, like that's really going to help you. But really good job, like for trying it and coming in. Like, I find it to be quite a supportive environment, but I think we tell ourselves these stories like, oh, that guy over there just looked at me, like I must be doing this wrong, I must look like an idiot, like I must look terrible, like everyone's staring at me. But really, people are just in the gym to get done what they're getting done. And if they are judging you, it's not because they're in their gym, it's just because they're not nice people. So you shouldn't care what they think anyway.
And what's like, how important do you feel that health and well-being is to like mentally more than anything?
Oh, hugely. And I'm so glad that, so in the first lockdown, at first, when the gyms closed, like I felt the immediate effects of not having that, like place to go and move my body. Not even exercise, like just moving. I think going a walk, like whatever it is you can do, if you even Google it online, like there's so many links to like your hormones and how it makes you feel in your mind. So hugely important. And it's just about finding what works for you. I always told myself I wasn't a runner. I don't run, I just lift weights, that's all I do. But when lockdown hit, I had to find new ways to do that. So it was about learning to run, and now I absolutely love it. Like I'm now a cardio person, but it's hugely important.
And like obviously as well, like you went to India for a year, didn't you? What was that like?
Oh, amazing! So good. I would go back in a heartbeat. Maybe not right now. I would go back. It was just such a like humbling experience. So good. I made some of the best friends ever. That I'm still in touch with today. But yeah, it was scary to go out myself. But yeah, just so good. I felt so independent and good about that.
Brilliant. As well as that, I want to ask you. I like to think myself as quite good at interviewing, but I've not had the pleasure of interviewing Spider-Man, Thor, and Tommy Shelby. How nervous was that? Just talk us through how that came about, and what was the nerves of that experience?
Yeah, I was so lucky to get an experience like that. But from a young age, like I was always looking for opportunities. Like I'd always been told to do that. And I think so many people wonder, like, oh, like they just think something will land in their lap, like it will just come. But I would email people like at 14, like I got my job in the radio station by just sending them an email being like, listen, like I must have been like 13. And I was like, listen, I really want to be a radio presenter. Like, I know I'll be really successful if you just let me come in. I'll work for free. I make a really great cup of tea. Like, you should just get me in for a day. And they just found it cute and funny because I was younger.
Yeah.
So I went in, and then it was very much the same. So it's just about, my friend at the time, Caleb, his mum worked for this company called Into Film. They were a children's education charity who educate young people through film. They're really great. Highly recommend checking out their stuff, especially if you're interested in like film or acting, whatever it is you're interested in. And I got in touch with them. They were looking for young reporters, which tended to be people under 10. Like it was people really young, but it went all the way up to 18, and I was maybe 15 when I applied. And I got to, it was great. Like it would maybe be every few months they would contact me and be like, listen, we've got an interview for you. I got the time off school, and I got to go and interview them, so we could create these resources for schools and things like that. But I got to meet some amazing people. It was so good. But at the time, I was definitely nervous, but maybe not about the people you would expect. Like I wasn't, maybe I shouldn't say this actually. I'm a Marvel fan now, like I like the films, but back then I hadn't really seen any of those films. So when people were like, oh, it's Chris Hemsworth you're going to be interviewing, I was like, oh, like I only really knew his brother, and I was like, oh, some guy. It's only now that people, I think a lot of like Chris Hemsworth fan pages will put the interview up, put them in TikToks, and I get tagged in them, and they do really well now. It's like back then I was like, oh, it's just some guy that's in films. Whereas now I'm like, oh, that's quite a big.
Yeah.
It was quite a big
Were
deal.
they like good with you as well? Like, were they, because you were that young, were they kind of good with you?
Oh yeah, they were so nice. Yeah, so I was maybe 17 when I interviewed them, and yeah, it was just such an experience. It was more the director, Ron Howard.
Yeah.
Like I was more nervous because I'd heard so many things about Ron Howard, so I went in there shaking. And it's funny because it was the other interviews that did a little bit better, but yeah, I was so nervous to meet him. But they were such a lovely cast, and Cillian Murphy really doesn't like interviewed. So I remember
Right.
being in the room and all the other reporters were quite nervous. Like, you know, these are the ones from like big like tabloids, and they were like, oh, like Cillian really is quite. Have you watched his interviews before? Like, he's quite hard to get an interview off. So I remember that making me quite nervous. But he was paired with Tom, and they were both lovely. It was absolutely fine. But yeah, it was a really fun experience.
Brilliant.
It was good.
Brilliant. What's kind of your best experiences as well? Like, you've done, like, obviously you met some amazing people. Like, what's some of your best experiences?
Some of the best experiences. So, okay, I think there was one. I wouldn't say it's about me inspiring others, but with Arbon, we got to go to Vegas for our global training conference,
Yeah.
and that was such an incredible experience because I'd never really been to a personal growth
Right. Okay.
seminar before. I'd never really like explored that concept, and when I got there, it was just absolutely epic. Like being there, listening to so many different motivational speakers out with Arbonne, and just teaching us different ways to think outside the box and keep yourself positive, and going for your goals and different. It was a whole mindset shift. So I feel like I came back completely different, and seeing things in a different way. But yeah, that was definitely like a big turning point in my life.
Yeah.
And obviously the top experience of everything was having Zia. Like she was
I was going
the
to touch
best.
on that as well. Like, how supportive for your family when you, at that kind of period of your life, when you fell pregnant and all that? Is that maybe too personal a question to ask?
No. Really supportive. Obviously I was younger than expected to have a toddler. So I don't think anyone really expected it from me.
Right.
So it was a shock to me, to say the least, never mind everyone else. But they obviously had some stuff to say about it. But that maybe lasted like 24 hours. And it's funny because I was always told, like at school, my mum was always like, if you get pregnant, like I'm kicking you out, I'll never talk to you again. Like, and I fully believed that in my heart of heart. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what's gonna happen to me. But she was actually great. Like I told her, she got upset for 24 hours and then was like, I'm gonna be a grand, this is amazing. And yeah, she's very loved. So I'm in a good position with them.
What was it like for you adapting to that kind of change in your life as well?
Well, it was huge because it completely changes your life having a child. And she's just it's just the most amazing change. Like people used to always say this to me before I'd had her, they'd be like, you're never going to experience love like it. Like honestly, like you don't know it until you've got it. And in my head I was like, yes I do. Like I know what it's like. Like it's just going to be a little person I'm going to love. Like I get it. But it's so true. You just don't understand until you're there. And she's just amazing. Obviously it's very hard. I'm not going to sit and say it's like the easiest, like a walk in the park, but it was definitely an experience getting used to. But she's like my little best friend now, which is so good. But yeah, it was just adjusting to it, making new friends. Obviously all my friends were at university studying, going out every weekend, and like that wasn't something that I could immediately do. So it was just adjusting to, and I made so many other friends who were also young mums who would like reach out on Facebook, and we'd be able to hang out with our babies, and just adjusting to that kind of new way of living.
Yeah, brilliant, definitely. See, like obviously in terms for you, like what kind of subjects do you feel are important regarding mental health that don't really get touched on?
Regarding mental health, I think I was actually talking to someone about this the other day. I follow a lot of good, positive mental health pages on Instagram.
Right.
And I suppose being in lockdown, I only ever am surrounded by really good messaging. So from my world, I'm like, there's a lot being done. This is great. People feel they can reach out to people. That's fantastic. But I think there's such a stigma still around people looking for help. Like I heard someone say the other day, I won't name names, it was just some lady was like, I don't know if I'm a huge believer in mental health, but I think that I'm maybe struggling. And I was like, what? So there's still this stigma, I think, around it that needs to be completely looking at. That needs to go. It needs to go. And people need to start really taking it seriously. However, I do think everything's moving in the right direction around it. But for me, for example, like I have a life coach that I use whether I'm feeling good or feeling bad. So I see him, once a week online, and it just helps me with all areas of my life, like how, like my emotional health, my business health, like everything. I could be on one day talking about like parenting. I could be on one week talking about my business. Some weeks it's just I've had a really shit week. Sorry, I'm allowed to swear. Probably not. But I've had a really bad week, and I've been struggling with lockdown or whatever it is, and talk it out. But still, when I'll talk to people about it and say, "Oh yeah, I was on with my life coach," they'll be like, "Oh, do you still need that?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do you mean need that? Like, I'll have my life coach even when I'm at the top, like I'm feeling completely like mentally strong and like everything's going great. I'll still have that coach because life's not like that. Like you're gonna have ups and downs, and I think you always need to work through all of it.
Yeah.
So there's still that I don't need that in my life. It's not about needing it. I think it's everybody should have some kind of like support or sounding board for their thoughts to move forward.
Yeah, definitely. See, like coping mechanisms as well. Like, what do you do for that? See, when things you're having as you say, a bad day. Like, what do you kind of do? Do you feel it kind of takes the pressure off in a way?
Oh, that's a tough question. Well, I have my coach, like I just said, so I would normally, if I'm feeling like that, call my
And can
coach.
you go to him like straight away, like when him or she, when you can go to them straight away? Yeah.
Not always, but I'll just drop a text and be like, "Can I call you at some point today?" And that's been invaluable, honestly, so good. And I think it's because, maybe at first, like I felt like I needed somebody out with my life, like that wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I
don't know anyone I know.
agree. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So it's good to have somebody, that
doesn't know your situation.
Yeah, and they're not going to have a biased opinion on
exactly.
on anything. So yeah, that was good. But apart from that, like sometimes it's just about taking a step back. Like I do a miracle morning every morning. Sometimes if I slack with that, I feel a bit low. So that's when I get up, I meditate, I'll do a gratitude list, I'll exercise, move my body, I'll read personal development books. I'm reading the Miracle Equation right now. It's so good. So yeah, I'll do all these little things just for 10 minutes each. And makes a huge impact just on how I'm feeling, and even just getting up and like showering. Like it's so easy in lockdown to be like, oh, I can just keep my pajamas on today, couldn't I? I'm not going to see anybody. But you feel so much better. Like if you get up, you like get dressed, you look nice, like put makeup on. I know you won't be doing that, but
I've never tried it myself. No,
but it just makes all the difference, I think. But what is it you do
to cope? Before like maybe the past couple of years, it would be keep away from everybody, because I felt that was the only way I would be able to kind of get myself out of it. And then I realised that was a terrible way to do it. Now kind of before when I kind of started admitting that I kind of was struggling a wee bit like a couple of years ago, I wouldn't talk to anybody about anything. And see now it's the best thing you can do, because it does make you feel like you're not alone. It does make you feel you've got a couple of people who know your situation and know how to help you, because like I'm probably as guilty as anybody for bottling things up, but see like things like that. And it is, you do things you enjoy. Like what do you kind of do in your spare time as well? Like I know you don't have a lot of it, but if you do have spare time, what do you kind of do to keep yourself?
I love painting. I love painting. And like I find, so painting's good. That's on my canvases up there.
Oh yeah, I see them, yeah.
But yeah, I just absolutely love it. So for me, that's like a really good chance for me to like focus on the one thing. I can't
Yeah.
multitask. So I just put some music on and I'll just paint a big canvas. That's really fun for me. I'll do that. I love running now. I didn't always love
Yeah.
running, but that's, if I'm feeling low, like that's the best way for me to immediately just kind of get back on it is put my trainers on and go out run.
Yeah. Do you not feel
And
after like exercising, like walking and running, you do feel as if like a massive weight's been lifted off when you just go a running? Well, I don't run. Walking, I'm only at the walking stage yet, but I'm near enough at the running stage. But do you not feel like that when you're doing that? You just feel as if you're up, everything's kind of lifted off, and you're enjoying yourself mainly.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's really good. I don't know about you, like if you're on your walks, but for me, like when I'm running, it just clears my head. Like I can see things. I think it's easy when you're in the house and everything's overwhelming you, and you've got emails coming in, and you've got the news telling you how many people have died today, and you've got, you've got all these different things going on. It's just when you go to run, you can just it just helps me process everything and get a bit clearer about what's going on, rather than just letting it all pile up.
Yeah. What's the plans after lockdown? Like, once this whole thing's hopefully gone? How are you going to get back to what when you were before this? What are you going to change? What's going to change for you? Like, how do you think your new normal is going to be?
It's hard. It's hard to say because we don't really know when it's going to be.
I know.
I know that's made me appreciate. I've totally reevaluated what's important to me. 100%. I feel like I was in a very tight loop before any of this happened, and it just gave the whole world a chance to stop. So it's given me a lot of chance to think about, is the work I'm doing important? Like, can I do more? Should I shift? Are you doing this for the right reasons? So it gave me a chance to really think about all that. And yeah, I think it'll look different coming out of lockdown. I can't wait to get back to the gym, get back to training people in groups. I've missed that so much, like just getting in front of a class of people and exercising and putting the music up loud, and it just seems like that's never going to happen again at the moment. But I can't wait to get back to all that. Obviously, I'm really lucky that a lot of my businesses still run right now, like Arbor, and I can do entirely online. So we can do that now, whether lockdown's on or not. And
brilliant. See, obviously as well, when you're doing the personal training, obviously you're coaching like fitness wise, but are you there for your clients like a 24/7 basis with like mental health, things like that? Is that a thing you do as well?
We do a lot of work on mindset during our sessions. So I really get to the root of how people are feeling about their bodies and what their relationships are or limiting beliefs around exercise and food. And you often find the problem isn't with the lack of exercise. The problem is it's all in here. It's how they see themselves. So I do a lot of work with clients on that to make sure that they're on the right path, and we're changing a lot of those beliefs that they've had for so long.
Definitely. Brilliant. I've really enjoyed doing that. I hope you've enjoyed it as well, Charlie.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me on.
Oh, no problem. Brilliant. As well as that, obviously we spoke about it last week. Just anybody that is in the position where they feel they need to talk to someone and feels as if they're alone, please come and kind of speak to myself. I know Charlie will be the same. If any of your followers and friends and things like that, if they're needing anybody to speak to, then their DMs are always open. Thank you very much for doing that, Charlie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Scott.
Really enjoyed it. All the best for the future as well.
See you later.
It's been really good talking to you. Cheers.